Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I wanted to make you aware of this. It says breaking, H-bar is currently experiencing a potentially massive ongoing exploit, and I don't know all the details of what this is, but it probably doesn't have anything to do with H-bar itself, but still, there's never too many times that we can remind you to make sure that you have your digital assets on something like a hard wallet. I use the Ledger Nano. You can get these. They've got several different packages you can get. The link to this will be in the very top of the description. Don't keep your assets on these exchanges. Let's check in with the official cool guy of the Digital Asset Investor channel.
What's up, fam? Exciting times we're in. Jerome Powell said instant settlements, instant payments coming very, very soon. We knew it all along. The back end comes first, not the front end. The banks are ready to move the money quickly. Hang in there.
There you go. I like it. Now, check this out. This, I'm not a big fan of Coinbase, but I do like their new commercial.
What is this archaic system?
Mother's maiden name? Beebowitz?
You're telling me this guy is how things get verified.
That's my job.
I'm just saying, you shouldn't have to buy
sure if that
$10
music's
worth of
gonna
gum
be a
if you
bad
just
thing or
want
not.
79 cents worth of gum. Why do you get charged your money to take your money from your account? And if you're out of money, they charge you for being out of money?
What?
An overseas transfer takes 5 days?
Business days.
Why?
What are they using? A Zeppelin?
I deposited a check Monday.
But Monday was a bank holiday.
Why is this the way it is?
A bank holiday?
This system
What's a bank holiday?
makes no sense.
This makes no sense.
Who designed this system?
You guys in
really
Jekyll
the
Island?
best we can do?
Hello?
Don't we deserve better?
I'll tell you who designed this system is a handful of wealthiest people in the world secretly got on a train car to Jekyll Island, and they formed what's known as the Federal Reserve. Now, I want you to hear this. This caught my attention today. Listen to what this guy says. This guy is apparently a former Accenture and IBM executive, and he was on one of this Twitter what do they call it? Twitter Spaces with Baba Cuggs. Watch this.
I'm 54 years old, live in Los Angeles, California. I've been a tech executive for 30 years. I started with IBM, and I've worked for Accenture for quite some time. At the time that I was heavily investing in XRP, actually, and I've also worked for FIS. Some of you know, one of the largest payments provider. I no longer work at FIS. I'm building a tech startup right now, which I'll remain nameless at this point. So a lot of background in payments, but one of the things that Bob and I talked about some time ago when I was at Accenture, one of the things I'm no longer on NDAs, but the one thing that I was able to do is Accenture, just like everyone else, has a Salesforce.com, which is a CRM, customer relationship management software. And I was, as an investor, was able to go into and look at, and this is a time where everybody was doubting, Ripple's not working with that many banks. And that's the time Brad Garlinghouse was saying, we're bringing on 2 new banks a week. And I could look in Salesforce.com because you wonder, how does a small startup like Ripple, who only has, at the time, 50 to 100 employees, how are they integrating these banks? Because that's a big project. 3 months, 6 months, a year. And the reason why they were getting them on so quickly is Accenture and IBM are the 2 largest tech integrators in the world. The Global 2000 use them for implementing any of the latest, greatest softwares. And so Accenture was a partner of Ripple, and I looked in our Salesforce.com, and I could see all 300 banks that Accenture had integrated for Ripple. Now, and I was pleasantly surprised at that. And we're talking big names. This was Bank of Australia, Bank of England, Bank of Canada, so on and so on. And so they're all primed, and they've been primed and ready to go since this was 2000, Bob, that was about 2016 I shared with you.
Yeah, I think it was 2017, 2018.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Minimum.
And I could see them all. They were all, and that means they're all primed and ready to go. So you've heard Mr. Schwartz talk about the flywheel effect. You've got to have liquidity on both sides for this thing to work. And so, while I can't speak to a flip the switch moment, I'm not an insider. I won't claim to be, but I can just see what's happening. That there is a moment where something happens where they all start using it. And Bob,
maybe after a certain lawsuit.
Technically, like a flip of
yeah. And who's in control of that to say go? Your guess is as good as mine. But that could be the IMFs of the world, the BIS, all that. But so that that's all just Bob and I talked about. Bob, is that what you were hoping to hear from me?
Yeah, just because I remember like the last time we spoke, you just jumped on the space and you were like, "Hi guys, my name's Tony. This and that." And you just basically said, like, I do believe in a flip of the switch moment. Yeah. And you weren't necessarily alluding to, like, I know for a fact, right. But you were saying, like, I could see why something like this would, like, happen all at once sort of thing.
I definitely could. Yeah. So, I'm on board with that theory as a plausible scenario for sure.
Sounds interesting to me. Now, I thought I'd have some fun today. I call it Chat GPT for the XRP win. Look what I typed. Write a 2-paragraph story on the SEC versus Ripple case ending favorably for XRP holders. Chat GPT seems to think they know what that would look like. The SEC versus Ripple case had been looming for over the cryptocurrency market for months, actually years, causing uncertainty and fear among XRP holders. However, the case recently came to a close with a surprising and favorable outcome for XRP holders. The SEC's claims against Ripple were dismissed. The XRP was deemed not to be a security, meaning that it could be freely traded without the regulatory burden that had been weighing it down. This decision sent shockwaves through the cryptocurrency market, with XRP's value skyrocketing as investors flocked to buy the digital asset. XRP holders were ecstatic, finally feeling that their faith in the cryptocurrency had been vindicated. The case's outcome marked a significant victory for the cryptocurrency industry, demonstrating that cryptocurrencies are a legitimate asset class that should be protected under the law. The SEC versus Ripple case will undoubtedly be remembered as a turning point in the cryptocurrency market's evolution, with XRP holders emerging as clear winners. I like the sound of that. That was a good write-up. Check this out from John Deaton, because John Deaton keeps on reinforcing some things. Read the language here. A provision in an agreement gave the investors a share of the company's profits, yet the court said the provision itself is not a security. That's major focus of XRP holders' amicus brief. Hold on a sec. XRP itself is not a security, and neither are secondary sales. This is what I think John Deaton is 100% confident about. And this part is what I think we get. I don't know about the other parts. And then he goes on, I'm confident the judge will deny the SEC's summary judgment as written requested. When they were forced to abandon their so-called XRP holder expert, whether XRP was acquired for consumptive use as a material fact in issue, that alone requires denying the SEC's motion. Now, he also said this. I said from the first day this case was filed that it was a major mistake for the SEC to sue Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson individually in a non-fraud case alleging aiding and abetting. It placed a higher burden for the SEC to meet. And I retweeted this and I said, this combined with the SEC calling XRP itself a security seemed to be two pretty big, quote, mistakes by a bunch of Ivy League attorneys. You can put that in whatever file you want to put it in. Now, Gary Gensler, they were about to do a hearing in Congress about why Gary Gensler and the government is trying to come after crypto. So Gary Gensler did an op-ed in The Hill, and there's one line in here that he put in here that I caught immediately. This is his quote. He says, "To this day, no one knows Nakamoto's anonymous identity is part of the creation myth of finance. The creation myth has a very specific meaning. Myth means it's not true. Myth of finance without trusted third parties, a new way to move value on the internet, with the goal that there would be no government oversight or central intermediaries like banks. Here's what that reminded me of. Remember when Gary Cohen
and I think they're very useful, and I'm very bullish on them. When you talk about Bitcoin in itself, I don't have a strong opinion on Bitcoin. In essence, I'm not a strong believer in Bitcoin. It is a developing asset, potentially. And for all the reasons it's a strong developing asset class, it may fail. Remember, part of the integrity of an asset class, or part of the integrity of a system, is knowing who owns it and knowing who has it and knowing why it's being transferred. And is it being used for legitimate causes? Is it being used for good? Or is it being used for illegitimate causes? Is it being used in corrupt?
Folks, when the history books are written here, I think maybe just me and Digital Perspectives, and I don't know who else, have been shouting from the rooftops that this Bitcoin thing, the idea of not knowing who it is, doesn't make any sense. It makes me feel like they know, first of all, we know Homeland Security knows who the 4 Satoshis are, but how can any of these companies or CEOs invest in this without, they have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders. Michael Saylor, fiduciary duty to his shareholders. What's he going to do in court when one of them sues him when the price goes down? What's he going to say? Oh, well, I didn't know who created it, but I thought it was a great investment on behalf of these shareholders in my role. He'd lose his butt in a lawsuit in that scenario, folks. It doesn't make sense. It's never made sense. The whole proof of work being touted on CNBC like those are the only things that exist, that's never made sense to me, which tells me that they're going to crush them. That's what I'm thinking. And nobody else in this industry is saying it. Ron Hammond, he's retweeting. Gary Gensler's talking about his goal is to protect investors and all this. Ron Hammond says, it is pretty rare for a regulator to pen an op-ed and purposely drop it an hour before the financial committee hearing on an administration's approach to crypto. Reminds me of Democrat Richie Torres' statement on Gensler a few months ago. A politician pretending to be a regulator. A coward politician at that. Because why write the op-ed? Why don't you get your butt in front of Congress? If you're all about being the good guy and protecting investors, then get in front of Congress and explain it to them. Stop hiding in your house, Gary. And then here's a quote from the hearing. This is from this guy who's chief legal officer at Coinbase. We have not been able to successfully register with the SEC despite our best efforts and despite conversations with the commission that go back many months. Representative French Hill said in response to this, I think that tells me that come in and register might not be as straightforward as it's being presented by the commission. It's a lie, folks. It's always been a lie. And it's coming from Gary Gensler, and Valerie Chapinick is one of them too. She's the one in charge of it. She's the one that comes in and then gathers all your information, is my understanding, so that they can sue you. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends about that flip the switch video I just showed you.